Wanda Williams is a Democratic candidate running for re-election as Harrisburg mayor. Why are you running for re-election?
I'm running for re-election because I have not fulfilled all my commitments to the people in the city of Harrisburg. When I first ran, I ran on affordable housing, infrastructure, and repaving streets, revitalizing the city downtown area.
What have been the biggest challenges to addressing that agenda?
Affordable housing has been wonderful. I managed to be able to speak with 3 developers. 2 of those developers have started the homes, one in Harrisburg uptown and the other one in Harrisburg out in Allison Hill. They both have now committed to affordable housing. The one out in the Hill is done. It's 50 units. The uptown area is going to be about 50 to 55 units. And that should be done sometime in May.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Harrisburg. I lived here all my life. I went to school here at William Penn. I graduated from William Penn. From there, I went to Harrisburg Air Community College. Sorry for the bubbling a little bit. From there, took some courses at Penn State University, and then in the meantime, I was working for the Office of Attorney General.
What was Harrisburg like when you were growing up?
Harrisburg was vibrant. Families who were concerned about each other. Streets were safer, less crime, more booming businesses here, in the downtown area as well as in the uptown area on major streets in the city of Harrisburg. North 6th Street in Harrisburg, and as well as Market Street. You had small businesses throughout the communities.
And as you were a kid, did you have any hobbies? Did you have any interest outside of school?
Outside of school, yes. I like to roller skate, of course, and as well as that. Outside of that, just things that a natural, normal child growing up in Harrisburg would be doing.
Now, you mentioned you went to Harrisburg Area Community College.
Yes.
What did you study?
Criminal law.
And what was interesting to you about that?
Well, to be truthful, I always wanted to be a cop. And then I wanted to be a state trooper. I didn't finish. I was shy of 4 to 6 credits. Then I took classes. I worked for the Office of Attorney General for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for 36 years. And I took classes at Penn State.
What kind of work did you do with the Office of Attorney General?
Office of Attorney General was doing more of the tort litigation work for those attorneys who worked in that division, handling all the briefs, handling all the cases that came in. I moved from there to tort litigations over in General Services. Again, I was, handling all the tort litigation cases against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Did you have an interest in politics when you were younger?
I did not have an interest in politics at all. I always wanted to be an attorney, and I wanted to be a cop. And I did not get to be an attorney. I did not get to be a cop. So when I started working for the Office of Attorney General, interested in politics because we were now located, the Department of General Services was located in the main capital, on the annex of the main capital.
Was there a key moment where you had kind of an awakening or something that spurred your interest?
The key moment for me, awakening to be an advocate for individuals, is that when I started working in the Department of General Services, I was more involved in the union and ASME, and speaking for those individuals and doing for those individuals who did not know how to go about handling different situations and cases that they had within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So I became a part of ASME's union.
When did you first decide you wanted to run for an office?
I first decided I wanted to run for office when I became the president of the Harrisburg School Board. I had a problem with the situation with my child, who I looked at his curriculum for the next year, and I was concerned about he was not getting the required curriculum that he would need to graduate. I went before the school board and asked, if I could have a moment of, conversation with them regarding my son's curriculum schedule, and they said, well, if you don't like what we put on his schedule, then you need to run for a position here. And I said, I'll promise you next year I will, and I did.
What was that experience like, being on the school board?
I loved being on the school board. I was able to create a different atmosphere of training for the kids. I had great individuals who worked with me to make sure that we made a lot of changes. We implemented so many different new changes or strategies of education, reading, writing, and math. And then Mayor Reed took over the school board.
At some point, you decided to run for city council.
When he took over the school board, I promised him that I would be coming to the Harrisburg City Council to challenge him on the things that he did at the Harrisburg School District.
What kind of work does a city council person do?
We do the legislative body. We're the legislative body of the city of Harrisburg. And we make decisions regarding any resolutions or ordinances come before the council. Most of our time is spent on having a workshop and delving into why those resolutions are being enacted. One of the things that's real interesting is that we get a lot of different plannings from developers who want to come into the city of Harrisburg to do work or to plan to do development. So we're able to make a decision whether it best fits the constituents of Harrisburg or not.
In addition to that, what do you think are some of the key issues that you addressed while you were on the council?
Some of the key issues I addressed was blight. One of the things that was real critical for us is that we had a lot of blight. We had a lot of problems with potholes in our streets. We had a lot of problems with the transportation. You name it, we had it. We did everything. We addressed all the issues. Crime wasn't as prevalent as it is tonight. It was not at the highest peak where it is at this point. So that wasn't a concern of ours. Another concerns are that with the trash and also the trash collections, with the water system that we had, and also because then at that time it was turned over to CRW. We had issues with complaints from citizens about not getting the required billing correct on their bills, also being a termination of their bills, of their water. And I'm trying to think of everything that we do. We do so much.
Well, let me just follow up on blight, the blight issue. What causes that? I mean, why was that an
We
issue?
have a lot of individuals who are landlords. And first of all, we have a lot of issues with individuals who are out of state. And once they're out of state, we cannot find them sometimes. We ask now, in which we did incorporate in our legislation as a president of City Council, is that if they're going to be landlords, that they have to have a manager here in the city of Harrisburg. Because sometimes the constituents have problems and residents have problems with their homes that they're renting from these landlords, and you cannot find the landlords. So one of the things that happens is the landlord doesn't get their monthly rent, and so they end up evicting that individual, and then that building becomes blight. It just stays there. They don't do the upkeep of keeping the house.
So as mayor, what types of things can you do to address this issue?
Well, I've done that. Now we have a repository a list that comes from the Dauphin County, and when that repository comes into my office, I have an opportunity to look at a particular plot of land or building and see what has been done in the past 4 or 5 years. And if I find that landlord or if that individual who wants to purchase that property or that land is not going to use it in the best interest of the city of Harrisburg, then I tell them no, then they're not allowed to do that.
Now, you also mentioned that when you were growing up, crime was not as big an issue, and why? What changed in Harrisburg?
I guess what changed in Harrisburg, I think, is the people moving in and out of the city, individuals coming from other states, because right now we have a lot of individuals who come here in the city of Harrisburg and think the city of Harrisburg is a small town that doesn't care about crime. And so they think that they can come in here and do some of the things that they've done in other states, and we just won't allow it. And we find that we have a large percentage of individuals moving to the city of Harrisburg from our New York area, from our Baltimore area, from Philadelphia area. So we have, and even from the York area.
Let's talk about being mayor. After a period of time on the city council, you decided to run for mayor. Why make that change?
At the time that I was going to retire, I wasn't going to run for mayor. I was going to retire after 16 years. And I went to talk to the former mayor, and I asked him, were you going to be a part of interacting with the community? Were you going to now start attending some of the events in the community? I need you to be active and making sure that you're reaching out to the people, letting them know that you care about them, that you have a goal set in mind and a vision to where we're going to go for the next 20, 25 years. I know you're not going to be here, but even for the next 5 or 10 years. And he just would not go out into the community. He would not attend any of the events. And I said to him, I can't allow you to keep doing this. We need to revitalize this city. I need to see affordable housing come here. I need to see the streets paved. I need the street signs up, street lights working, curb, and, fixing curbs, making ADA accessible. I need you to start doing some of the things that has not been done in the city in the last 30 years.
Now, as you had served on the city council and then you became mayor, how do you manage that relationship with the city council?
Well, I thought it would be a great relationship at the time that I, took the position as mayor, but obviously they have their own agenda that they want to follow, and so they have not been very cooperative as far as trying to work out our situations. I've always told them time and time again that I would always be here until 5:30, 6:30, 7 o'clock if you want. 4 or 5 of them, I think, work during the day. And I said that, and since you're working, I said, I'll stay here. If you have any concerns or issues, come talk to me. Come into my office. Let's sit down and let's talk about what we need to do and where we need to go. And none of them has done that.
What are some of the key sticking points?
I think some of the key sticking points is some of the things that we've done with ARPA. We're having a hard time with ARPA. The ARPA funding, there's different areas that I would like to see being done with the ARPA funding. And they really give me a hard time pushing back. And one of the things that really is near and dear to my heart is the $250,000 that would go to the Hines Senior Center. Now, the Hines Senior Center is the only senior center in the city of Harrisburg. But there's senior centers, and let me just, make sure that you understand why I say that. Hines Senior Center is certified as a senior center. Not only does it provide a meal for the seniors, but it also provides the computer training. It also has individuals coming in speaking on different subjects that are near and dear to the seniors at this level. And we're talking about the mental health. We're talking about medical. And we're talking about Social Security. We're talking about taxes. And also, Hines had a place for them to interact and come and meet their friends. The other senior centers are more of a housing unit. And so council did not want to approve the $250,000 that I wanted to give to the Hines Senior Center. And that was very disturbing to me.
We talked a little bit about being mayor, but what would you, from a bigger picture point of view, what do you think are the characteristics of a good mayor?
I think leadership is really important, and I think I've portrayed that as a leader for 16 years on council. What's more important is to make sure that the residents and your constituents are here, that you are available and you're personal enough to be able to engage in conversations, their concerns and their issues. And so what I've done is set up a Friday so that residents and constituents could come in to talk to me concerning any issues that they have, or even just their opinions about where we need to be or what we need to do in the city of Harrisburg.
Now, we talked a little bit about crime, but WGAL reported that, according to the Bureau of Police, the city experienced an increase in homicides in 2024. How serious is that situation? Well,
at the time, it was serious. But since then, we've sat down with different other corporations, police officers and police departments. We've had the help of the governor's office, and we also had the help of the attorney general's office and the state troopers. And we sat down and we've come up with a plan, and we've been very successful in the last, 2 months or so. We're going to still have the crime, we're going to still have the shootings, but we now have a team of individuals who are experienced at handling those situations. And so it's not as bad as it was in 2024. And you really can't deal with crime and can't completely do away with it, but you can address it and know how to manage and be available and on point when something happens. And that's what we've done.
What measures can the city take to retain experienced police officers?
I think we've done everything we could as far as obtaining our police officers. I think the problem with obtaining the police officers is the salary. And that has a big effect on our officers leaving and going to other townships. They're offering more pay, less hours. And see, right now, we're down like 30 police officers. And when you look at longevity, it has not happened in the city of Harrisburg in the last 5 or 10 years. When other townships and boroughs offer them 20, 30,000 more, and then also we've put in a clause, if they would leave, they would have to pay us back for their training. Well, most of your police officers in other townships and boroughs are ready to do that in a heartbeat.
Now we talked earlier about affordable housing. Why is that such an issue in the city?
Because we're in an urban economic area that we don't have enough housing. Most of our constituents and residents are in the lower medium, salary level, so they're not able to purchase and own a home. And so what in turn happens is that they're renting from landlords who are escalating the cost of a rental almost $1,500–1,600 a month, and they certainly cannot afford that.
Now, are there any policies at the state level that you would like to see implemented to help that situation?
Yes, I would put a retaining amount on the rental fee for landlords, because they're escalating to $1,700, $1,800 a month. Some people in Harrisburg are even paying $2,000 for a 3-bedroom home that they're renting.
What types of policies do you think should be implemented to improve economic development?
At this point, I think we need to look at stronger tax incentives for those who are coming into the city of Harrisburg.
And every city has a sewer system and a water system. What is the state of Harrisburg's, or is there anything that you think needs to be done? Well,
CRW, our sewer and water system is now under Capital Regional Water. And that was done years ago from the courts. They made us turn over our sewer and water system.
Well, let's talk about your campaign. How have you been campaigning? Have you been going out to events, meeting with constituents?
I have, in the last 4 years, the last 3 years, we're into our 4th month, but in the last 3 years, I've attended about 270 events in the city of Harrisburg. And I'm continuously, as a matter of fact, on my calendar this month, I have 4 more events, but I'm not only going to events, but I'm out here in the streets. I'm not at a shooting. Individuals are questioning why I'm not at a shooting when it happens. And I indicate to them that I have 172 police officers, and I have also detectives included in that. That's their job. My job is to make sure that everyone is safe, or the family is okay after a shooting, and reaching out to them and making sure that there's anything the city of Harrisburg can do on their behalf.
Now, when you're out meeting with voters, what do they tell you about their concerns?
Most of the concerns right now, to be very, very honest, is the Broad Street Market. When is it opening? When is the reopening of the Broad Street Market? I think there was a hindrance because City Council could not vote on an architect or a construction firm. They just let it lapse for the last 2 or 3 weeks. We could not get them to do a firm commitment vote, to vote on someone to do that, to start the process.
What are some of the key distinguishing characteristics from your components?
From my other components,
your opponents.
My opinion? Is that my opinion? I don't feel they have the experience or the skill base to be able to handle the position of being in the mayor. Being in the mayor, it's a variety of different issues that come at you each and every day, like the numerous right to know that we get. We're up to about 1,000 right to know. And also we have so many people who think the city of Harrisburg is responsible for some of the things that happen here. So we're up to about 90 lawsuits. And that's only 2 of the concerns that we have. Also we have, of course, the blighted houses. People are concerned about when are you going to take down the blighted houses, or when are you going to address the issues of a neighbor not keeping up their property, from A to Z, about a pothole, or if we don't have proper lighting in a particular area, or the stop lights are not working, the red lights, and also the signs are being, people are taking down street signs. When you talk about their trash not being picked up, or not having a container, you name it, from A to Z. My phone is jumping off the hook each and every minute.
Have you participated in any candidate forums?
We participated in one candidate forum.
What's that experience like?
I'm used to candidate forums. I don't have a problem dealing with, individuals, who might have, animosity because I have not done one particular thing that they wanted. I try to make sure that I try to help each and every one of the individuals in the city of Harrisburg. We recently had, in the last 2 years, a sewer problem down in one of our apartment complex. The former mayor would not address it. They called me middle of the night. And what I did is got up and I called the police, the fire chief, and we both handled that situation where we had 2 to 3 feet of backup of sewer and water. So we relocated those individuals because of the fact that most of them were ill and senior citizens. And then we had a fire that took down 10 houses in one block. And the individuals did not have any knowledge of what to do and how to do things. And so what I did is I used my public works vehicle and I put them in the vehicle. And when I did that, I also had 3 interpreters that we hired to meet us down at the Crown Plaza. We called the Red Cross. The Red Cross came and we had the interpreters. And what would have taken 2 or 3 hours, because of what we've already done and put in place, it only took an hour for us to get everybody settled and back to where they needed to be.
Have you been endorsed by any organizations?
Yes, ASME. ASME has endorsed me.
What do you think the value of endorsements are?
The value of endorsements is very good at some point, but individuals have a tendency with this Facebook and this TikTok and everything else that they have going on. Individuals put things on those particular websites, and they have a tendency to believe them instead of coming and talk to the candidates, asking them, is this true or not? And they value that more than the truth, I believe. They do. They take it for point blank, firsthand knowledge, and it's not. And that's one of the bad things about, utilizing Facebook, places like that on the website, because they don't have a tendency to come and ask you, is that information true? Have you done this? Are you accused of this? Or, is this true?
We have just a couple of minutes left. Use that time to tell voters why they should vote for you.
Voters should vote for me because I have a lot to offer. I have the skill base and experience. What I've done is taken the city of Harrisburg from a $638 million debt to $21 million in surplus. The second thing I've done is make sure that we start repaving every single street in the city of Harrisburg. We're up to 56. I know my opponent talked about $14 million in debt with us not getting the trash revenue, but that's not true because at this point, we've already collected almost $2.8 million and collected, that was in debt for the $14 million. We set up about 40-something payment plans. So we're getting money back in the coffers each and every month. And then he also talked about not having experience when it comes to the budget, and that's not true. I've had a balanced budget for the last 3 years with no increase in taxes for the citizens of Harrisburg.
We've been speaking with Wanda Williams, a Democratic candidate for re-election as Harrisburg mayor. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.